Welcome everyone to another installment of 10K Movies. I'm Ryan, as always, joined by Tom and JD. Fellas, how we doing?
Doing pretty good. How you doing, JD?
I'm doing good. How are you? I say that every week, I swear.
Usually, all doing pretty good. Seems like. Yeah. What's new, guys? I know, we were. Well, I don't want to spoil it actually, but we're picking a movie based on a trailer we saw, uh, in the last movie we watched for Air, but um yeah, that's all we were kind of chopping it up about beforehand. But anything else going on?
Not a whole
uh,
lot.
Pretty
Uh,
busy week for me as a whole. I was in Atlanta watching Brian Hoeing pitch from our hometown, so that was pretty cool.
Oh yeah. What'd you
Yeah.
think of Atlanta? Was that your first time?
That was so I've always like driven through. Actually, I think we went there one time when I was like 8 or 9. I actually remember ice skating there, and I was trash. Still am, but but that was my first time staying over like in my adulthood or even like college and on. So it's a pretty cool city. The battery outside the Atlanta Stadium was awesome. Which I know we talked about, especially since you guys kind of want to see all the stadiums, but it
Is
was
that
pretty
just
cool.
is that like what they call, like, in
It's like
comparison to Wrigleyville? It's
Yeah,
not
it's like
like just one bar,
Wrigleyville.
it's like the whole area.
No, or it's like the banks in Cincinnati. It's just a
Okay.
bunch of different bars in the area. They call it the Battery. There's like a yard house, and I feel like yard house is always close to a baseball stadium. But
Yeah.
that was
eh,
my biggest takeaway in Atlanta. I was like, of course they have a freaking yard house.
yeah,
The battery, I will say, it feels more like the Banks feels like, it's part of Cincy, it's just there. Like Wrigleyville's part of Chicago, it's there. Where like Atlanta is kind of in the suburbs, so it kind of feels like they just like plopped a baseball stadium and there was nothing there. So they'd like build like a little town around it. And it
yeah.
just feels like it's its own town, like kind of, and it's
Yeah,
pretty cool. But
it's
there's a
actually
lot. I
like
mean, there's a lot to do. There's a lot of restaurants and bars, and like there's live music. It's pretty sweet.
yeah, it's actually like 20 minutes away from the actual downtown, which I thought was
Hmm.
weird. Because like
Yeah.
when we first got there, I was like, "Oh, is this downtown?" And like, no, you're like not
Hmm.
even in the city. I was like,
Yeah. In
"Oh."
Atlanta, technically.
So how far is
Uh,
it from the airport then? Like the stadium?
Probably like 25 minutes, 30
Oh,
minutes,
okay.
something like that. And
It's
then
not
it's
bad.
like, yeah.
Wow. Well, that's pretty
Pretty cool
cool.
though. Hmm.
Yeah, I wasn't in charge of logistics, so I was just hopping in Ubers. I still really don't know where everything's at, but it was
Yeah.
a good time.
I feel like, I mean,
It was,
Georgia
it
or
was a lot
Atlanta's
for a
like
Tuesday.
huge, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Atlanta's massive.
But
Atlanta is
I've only
massive.
driven through it like on the way to Florida, I feel like.
Yeah,
But
Hmm.
it's like anytime I went south, you got to go through it, but it's really not
right.
bad.
Yeah,
Oh,
I don't think I've ever been like to hang out in Atlanta. Like I went to the Braves game, which like isn't even in Atlanta, and then left. That's
Yeah,
about it.
that's
So
like, yeah, because even we went to a few bars afterwards, and like we didn't even go like downtown Atlanta,
hmm.
which is probably safer anyway.
yeah,
But Tuesday at 1
that's
a.m. in
true.
Atlanta, I don't know if we really need to be anywhere.
Yeah. Probably
Yeah.
smart.
That's fair. That's fair.
Um, yeah, what else we did this week? I guess if you have been following along with the podcast, well, obviously watched the movie, Rise of the Planet of the Apes, which we'll get to. But we also listened to 1987 Billboard hits. So we're doing uh 1 year every week. That's what landed on this past week. Um, we can go ahead and say our favorites and everything. I thought it was, still kind of just uh this week. I have skipped ahead to next week's already, but there is a special song in there that I like. But this one, it was just, yeah, kind of like I said, more of the same, but still some good ones. I don't know what you guys thought about it. Um, but overall, yeah, it was okay. So I can start with my favorite. Um, I was in between two, one being a Bon Jovi song because this is the first time I've seen him on there. Well, I guess it's the whole band, but I just think of him. Um, but I didn't go with him. I actually went with U2, and it's With or Without You. I really like that song, which I think U2 gets a bad rap since they tried to not tried, they successfully infiltrated our everyone's iTunes and put their album for free though. Um at that one, I don't remember what year that was, but
That was
I just
sketchy.
remember, yeah, it was kind of sketchy, but um I know I moved on from that and still enjoy their music. So that was my pick. How about you guys?
That was oddly enough that U2. I love that U2 song. That is my runner up. And I thought the same thing. I was like, everybody hates U2 because they just threw their songs on everybody's iPod or iPhone.
Yeah.
Again, I don't remember when that was
I think
too.
it was like 2010.
I want to say like 15. Oh, I thought it was
Well,
after
was it
that.
that late?
I thought it was like, yeah, I think it might have been like early college for us.
Oh, I'm gonna try to find it, but keep going,
2014.
Tom. Oh, okay.
September.
Well, there you
It
go.
was the iPhone 6, September 9th, 2014.
Oh wow, yeah, dude, that makes sense. Well, yeah, people hated them, but before that, I feel like, I mean, again, I feel like they were a little past their prime at that point. I feel like we're about to come into their heyday, which is
Like 30 years past.
Yeah.
I like their music. That With or Without You song is awesome. As for this year, 1987, I hated it with a passion. Like I think it was by far the worst year. Mainly because it had like a lot of the other years had like shitty songs, and that was fine. This had like songs I actively hate with a passion, like
Like, what's an example?
Funky Town.
What the
Dude,
hell? I
that's
love
my
Funky Town.
that's my pick, dude.
I literally never want to hear that song ever. And I heard that come on. I'm like, oh my goodness. And there was another one too that was, it's like in a movie too. I'm trying to think. I'm trying to scan the list to see which one it was. But it's one of those, it's like, oh, Time of My Life. I've had the time of my life.
Oh,
I
yeah.
actually hate that song too. So
I feel like that's a Mamma Mia song. Is it, JD? I mean, you would know, but I
I
thought that was in there. Or
don't
is that
think
only
so.
originals in
Mamma
Mamma Mia?
Mia? Oh no,
mine
Yeah.
is
it's
all
only ABBA songs.
ABBA, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
But it's in a movie for sure. It's in like a popular movie. I don't know which one, but yeah, but
I think it's a lot, probably.
I think it's in a lot too.
yeah, I think it is too. Other than that, there were a couple songs I kind of liked. My pick is actually one I've never heard before. It's called Into Deep by Genesis. I don't know if you guys got to that one.
Yeah.
Pretty good
I don't
though.
know that one.
It's by Genesis, who is like Phil Collins'
Phil
band.
Collins, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
So I heard it and I was like, oh, Phil Collins. I was like, I looked, I was like, I didn't see him on the list, and it was Genesis. I'm like, that makes sense. So that was one I went with. That was pretty good. I thought it was kind of like a romance song, but not like a sappy romance song. It was kind of like a little bit of a different one. It was kind of like a Ticket on the Run type song, where like you can read into it different ways. About like, like an ex he had, or like I think it was more so about like a relationship he was trying to work out, but like it wasn't really working out. So pretty good. I liked it. Phil Collins is pretty talented. So that was my pick. JD, what'd you get?
So mine was, I think it's in some movies, or I think I've heard it before, but I couldn't I wouldn't have been able to like pull it off the top of my head, It's and I also should phrase this. I listened primarily most of this when I was in the airport, hungover after Atlanta. So this was like a perfect song for the day. It's "Don't Dream It's Over" by Crowded House. So it's a little slower, but still kind of catchy. So yeah, I don't know. I think I've heard it before. It sounded somewhat familiar, but I couldn't have named when or where, if it just like, at some point. But yeah, I like the song. Put it on a few playlists actually. A few of my slower, just like laid back playlists.
I like that.
Nice. Yeah. Really quick about Funky Town. I mean, like,
Oh,
again, it wasn't my favorite. I don't really want to just let that slide too much. Like, I will say it's never going to be a song I will like ever put on a playlist, probably, or listening to casually. But it's also one I did think before we started doing this, like every single 80 song was gonna be like it, which there are kind of a lot if they're not like the slow, like sappy love songs. But again, like if I hear it, just I don't know, I feel like you'd probably hear that in like a department store or something. But like I would like it.
Like Cole's
sang that song.
Cole's is banging it.
You think? Yeah, exactly. Wait, you think it's in Alvin the Chipmunks?
It is. No, I was gonna say that too.
Sang that song, and that's why I hate it so much.
Tom, I was gonna bring the same point.
And they do a rendition of it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Then
That's why
it reminds me of Alvin the Chipmunks.
Okay.
I was gonna say that.
If that's true, then I can see why you hate it, because if they do that to any song, then It ruins it.
So I was gonna say
Done it
two
to quite a
things.
few. They've made albums. I
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
think
they
signed off
have.
on that, but
Both the songs Tom said something about Funky Town makes me think of Alvin and the Chipmunks because they redid that. And then anything Genesis or anything Phil Collins just reminds me of Tarzan because I know it's like a common like thing people talk about, but he just went so hard on that Tarzan album. It
Oh,
was
he
so
did.
good.
He
Yeah,
really did.
he had no business doing that.
I'm gonna have a confession. I didn't know he was in a band. I thought he was just Phil Collins. So
I
I
think
didn't
that's
know he was in
fine.
Genesis.
I mean,
I
he's
would say
obviously
that's,
past. I mean, he's before our prime, but
and
Yeah.
I would
also,
say he was
I
also,
barely do that. Like
I would
like
say he
when
was
I saw
also
Genesis, I
bigger.
was like, oh yeah, this is yeah. I think he was bigger solo.
He was bigger as Phil Collins,
By a
and
lot.
Okay, that makes sense.
probably more in our lifetime because he did like more songs. It was Tarzan and stuff,
Right.
which was I don't know when Tarzan came out, but that was closer to us.
I'm gonna guess that came out in 2004.
I want to guess that.
I mean, it's 2002.
I was gonna guess the 90s.
Ooh, yeah, that could be.
I feel
late.
like 99.
Oh,
Fuck.
okay.
I feel
Yeah.
like every movie that I grew up watching on Disney came out way before than I would have guessed.
Yeah, that's fair.
I feel like Toy Story is a good example of that.
Like
I think that was
Nemo,
95, right?
Yeah, I think it was 95.
I think Nemo was like 2001, 2003. Like I
Yeah.
mean, and that was like when we were pretty young still.
And that
I
was something like I actually remember coming out in theaters. Like that was
Yeah.
one of the,
Yeah.
like first movies that came out that was like a big deal. Like I remember like movies that came out that I can remember being like, I gotta see this were like the first Harry Potter, that was like
Yeah.
2001. The first Spider-Man with Tobey Maguire.
Yeah.
That was I think also 2001 or 2002. And then like from the animated side, it was like Finding Nemo was like a big deal. I remember Cars was a pretty big deal too.
Cars, yeah, Cars is a big one. And it's like weird because when I think about new Disney movies, I still kind of think like Nemo, and like that's
Yeah.
20 years now.
Right.
Yeah, that's insane.
Right.
And when I think of like the classics, it's like Bambi because I'm pretty sure that shit came out in like 67.
Yeah, it really did.
It's crazy though. Like it's crazy that the technology that like actually like pulled it off back then.
Yeah.
As a kid, like you have no idea. You're like, yeah, this looks pretty legit.
Yeah, ahead of their time.
Yep. Yep. So yeah, that's 87 then. I'm ready to get
Yeah.
out of the 80s. I know that much.
I know. So yeah, I guess we'll do 88 next week. Like I said, I already have my song picked. It was a pretty easy one though, so we'll see. I don't know that I can see someone else picking that same song, but we'll get to it next week. Little tease for it there. So yeah, feel free to follow along or jump in if this is your first time listening, and yeah, we'll see what we pick next week. Speaking of picks, like I said, we did have a movie this past week that Tommy picked. Tom, if you want to give us a quick synopsis and start off with your thoughts.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got Rise of the Planet of the Apes. We talked about that at the end of last episode. If you guys are tuned in, part of a trilogy or maybe 4, actually, I don't know, but
3, I think.
okay. I
think
didn't
trilogy.
think they're doing a new
Does
one.
it count the one from like the 70s?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
Yeah, I think
okay,
it's kind of like a different iteration, I guess. But it's on Hulu. If you haven't seen it and you want to catch up, yeah, 2011 synopsis from IMDb is a substance designed to help the brain repair itself gives advanced intelligence to a chimpanzee who leads an ape uprising. And I'll be honest, I either haven't seen this movie all the way through or I haven't seen it for a long time. But I loved it. I thought this movie was really good. I think it holds up for being like 10 years old. I think is really, I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of these like kind of apocalyptic type movies. I know the Planet of the Apes story is obviously older. I think it originally was from a novel back in like the 50s or something. But I think the movie, they did a great job. Like I think the plot goes pretty well. You know, I think there's obviously some likable and hateable characters. I think with Caesar, who you can see on the movie poster here, being really likable.
Go.
Yeah, the goat for sure. Malfoy being like the ultimate douchebag in this was like perfect. It was a great goal. Tom, whatever his name is, I can't think of his last name. Tom Felton, yeah. So him being in this was awesome, being like the only other movie I've ever seen him in.
Yeah, I forgot he was in this.
I forgot he was in this too until
right. I didn't see it. I was like, is that a guy that just looks like Malfoy? And I looked it up, and there he was. So, I thought there was a good balance, like in this movie, with like there were kind of like multiple plots going on. You kind of saw from the human side, the chimpanzee side. We'll get into it more, but I love it. I love this movie. And I am giving it a really solid 85. No
All
fluff,
right.
a good old fashioned 85. And I'll kick
Nice.
it over. I think Ryan, you're next.
Sure. Yeah, I can go.
No, I think JD's next. Sorry.
Oh, yeah, JD.
Not
Go
that it
for it.
matters. I know we kind of followed usual order.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll go. So I agree with what Tom said. I think the cast was really good. I think there's a lot of likable characters, both ape and non-ape. I know you mentioned Caesar, but I gotta give a shout out to my favorite one. I love Maurice, the big orangutan.
Yeah,
He
oh,
is my
yeah.
favorite the whole series. I
The
love
glue
him.
guy.
Yeah. And I know you don't really see it in this show, but I hate Koba going forward. I
Yep.
think it's,
Fuck
yeah.
Koba.
Yeah, Koba's the worst. But not in this movie. Doesn't do much besides kill that one guy.
Which I was fine with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was fine with
I
that.
looked away. I'll look away from the Koba slander for that.
Yeah, same. I'll put it on hold for. I will say I watched. I had to watch Dawn of the Planet of the Apes after this because I agree with Tom. It's a really good movie. And I think I mentioned this towards the end of the last episode. There's a lot of underrated actors in there. Andy Serkis always takes those weird roles. He's in like Marvel too. That's the dude that got his arm blows off or whatever. By Ultron, but I like Andy Serkis, John Lithgow. I think he's also in Dexter. If you guys watch that, and he's
Oh, I hate his ass and Dexter.
yeah, he's the dad. Yeah, or not the dad, but he was the dad in Rise of the Planet of the Apes. And then I don't know if he is actually an actor, but the neighbor cracked me up every time he was on
Oh,
screen.
yeah. You don't know. Yeah, I've literally never heard about him ever.
No, but he was cracking me up, and like, cause he kind of looks like a dick, but he's just like trying to have an everyday life, and every day there's just like a monkey doing something weird to his house or
Yeah.
something.
I
Like,
feel like he was just like an extra that they pulled in, and then he just like worked his way up a little bit to get some more screen time than the usual extra would.
yeah, like Kramer when he gets a talking role in a Woody
Yeah.
Allen movie.
Yeah.
These pretzels are making me thirsty.
Yeah.
But overall, yeah, I like Tom. I really like the movie. I think it's a super believable plot, especially after the whole quarantine and everything. But I think it's super believable. Something comes out of a lab. I don't know if it'd be as drastic, whereas it works perfectly in monkeys and makes them better, and then just kills us. But like, I definitely think something like that could happen. But yeah, I'm in just a little lower than Tom. I gave it an 81.
Like it.
All right, that's very convenient because I also gave it an 81. Echo your guys' points. Yeah, I mean, nothing I didn't not like about it. There's just like, a lot of movies I enjoyed more, but I still did enjoy this. But I mean, I'm sure we'll talk about the rest of the trilogy at some point. But like, I love the second movie. Like, that's in the 90s for me. Like, I think that's a really fucking good movie. Which ironic with his name being Caesar. I'm sure they did that on purpose, obviously, like how that second one goes down. But yeah, this one was great. Like, I mean, we'll get into it, but I think there is like that like middle part that not like I mean, I guess stuff is happening, but it's not super like eventful, I guess, if that makes sense. Like, stuff is happening, but it's not like crazy, and like not crazy entertaining, I guess you can say. And like kind of after like the first 20 minutes a little bit, but besides that, like, I still really like it. Like, I didn't think I would like a movie about like apes kind of taking over. Not even that they take over. Like, Caesar just wants them to kind of like chill and live their own life, which that's like a big thing I liked about this. Some apes have differing opinions, I guess, as the trilogy goes on, but yeah, overall, like, I really enjoy this movie. And yeah, recommend it to anyone that is thinking like, oh, this is, I'm sure, is stupid because it's like apes taking over or whatever, however you want to phrase it, but it's a good movie. So definitely recommend it for sure.
That's kind of like, go ahead, dude.
I was gonna agree. I feel like it gets a weird connotation because it's just like the sci-fi where like apes take over and people are like, why are we watching this about these monkeys just taking over or whatever? But they're actually really good series. I mean, like, not just touching on your point there.
Yeah, I was actually gonna say the same because like I think JD, you kind of mentioned it in your opening remarks, and I kind of hinted at it too, where it's just like, yeah, I mean, I feel like you'd think something like this is gonna be super like sensationalized. I guess kind of like King Kong and stuff was.
Right.
Yeah.
Where, there's obviously an element of like almost like a superhero type deal. But like no, the plot's like really, really well thought out, and like the characters have like, I mean, obviously they're smart because of the drugs they're taking, and they're like, you see like the different emotions, you see like the back and forth from humans and apes. I mean, it's really, really good. And I know this is just the first one of the series, and it gets better. So I think from a series perspective, this is like a really rock solid like foundation for it. Like, it kind of reminds me of like Batman Begins a little bit, where
Yeah.
it's not the flashiest one in the group, obviously, because I think Dark Knight far and away is like, I think it's one of the best movies of our generation. I think people would agree.
Mhm.
So obviously you're not going to be like, oh, Batman Begins is better. Like, no, but Batman Begins isn't bad. It's actually really
It
good.
definitely gets overshadowed because
Yeah.
Dark Knight
Yeah.
Rises was also really good too. But I love
Right.
Batman Begins.
Right.
This is
That's
really good comparison to
a
that
good
trilogy.
foundation there.
Yeah.
Your boy Cillian Murphy's in that too, isn't he, Tom?
Correct.
Yeah,
Scarecrow.
the Scarecrow.
Yeah.
2 minutes of screen time. Speaking of which, we're going to see him soon in Oppenheimer.
June
He
30th.
got
2
he got a
months.
decent amount of screen time in the first one.
Yeah, and the first one he
Oh,
did.
right, yeah, in the first one. I guess I was thinking of Dark Knight. He got like,
Yeah,
He barely in it.
they bring it back a little bit, but not
Yeah.
really.
mhm.
And Rises. He's like the judge at the end of
Oh
Dark
yeah,
Knight
yeah,
Rises
yeah.
or whatever. So he never really goes away.
Right.
I was actually seeing something
Which I like
about how
that actually.
he's in like 6 or 8 of Nolan's movies, and I
Mhm.
know it counts all 3 of the Dark Knights, but it's like
Yeah.
he's barely in it besides the first one.
He is. He's in a lot of Christopher Nolan's movies, which I like because I really,
Inception.
Yeah,
Inception. He's obviously a pretty big role. I mean, I
and
love to do that, but
they compared it to how Scorsese uses Leo like 6 times and De Niro like
Mhm.
10 times. Yeah,
Tarantino does it too. Like
yeah,
Tarantino, like Samuel L. Jackson,
Brad Pitt.
Brad Pitt. I mean, he's done it with DiCaprio recently, with like Django and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
yeah.
But yeah, no, I think that's great. I mean, obviously, what's not to like? Like, amazing director teams up with super amazing actors and actresses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty solid.
Building super teams.
I know.
Belichick.
I was gonna say they never get the flack that athletes get for trying to
No.
collab together, but
Right.
everyone loses their minds
Mm-hmm.
and all for it when the actors do it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, and not to go too much on a tangent because we can get back to it, but what do you guys feel about? I feel like a lot of people get shit on when they join the Marvel franchise. They take a role, but like if I'm an actor and they're paying me billions of dollars, not billions, but heavy money to be in like the most watched movies ever, I feel like I would do it. But I feel like a lot
Yeah,
of people get flack for doing it.
I would, and especially if you like grew up enjoying like the comic, not even like reading the comic, just like superhero culture or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah,
Like I think it's also kind of like an honor that some
yeah,
people would say. So
yeah. I
yeah,
completely
it's
agree.
all depends, I guess.
Kind of interesting because that's, I mean, callback. If you guys have followed us from the beginning, it's kind of like the plot of Birdman a little bit.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's true.
And I just saw, dude, it's weird that you brought that up because I like just saw something. I think it was like Timothy Chalamet or whatever his name is. Like when he just,
yeah,
I don't know if I saw it on Twitter or where, but like he was saying something where he met DiCaprio like
And
early
said
on.
never join a superhero movie.
Yeah, yeah, like two
yeah,
things of advice. I forget what the first one was, but the second one was like never join a superhero movie.
yeah,
Um, I don't know. I don't know. I feel like Marvel, like Avengers, made it cool, kind of. Obviously, you had like Robert Downey Jr., but you also had like Chris Pratt, Jeremy Renner. Like, you had big names, so I think it made it acceptable. But as far as doing like a Aquaman, like I don't know how
Vinny
No,
Chase.
probably not worth it.
yeah. Um,
Uh,
but as far as this movie, I feel like there's a lot to unpack. Like I said, I
I
just feel
agree.
like the plot was really believable. Like,
Uh-huh.
like a drug that used to cure Alzheimer's. Like, obviously, James Franco's dad in the movie had Alzheimer's. So, like, hey,
Yeah,
that
love
extra,
that angle.
had
Love
that
that
extra
too.
motivation to like really make it work. Testing it out. But then you also had like the evil angle of like the corporation, like just trying to make money, which is very, very real too.
Yeah.
Um, so I thought all of that was like really well done because I feel like you could see a lot of movies. Like I'm thinking of like this Steven Seagal movie I saw at like
I've
like
still
Yeah.
I've still never
polar
seen a
opposite.
Steven Seagal movie, I don't think.
Yeah, the polar opposite of this. But I thought that was all super well done. And then also just like the whole background of Caesar, like I think that makes him really likable as you go into the series. a little bit further. But yeah, I just kind of wanted to see what your guys' thoughts were as far as, I know, Ryan, you kind of mentioned like there is less action there kind of in the middle. But as far as I guess like the lead up and then obviously like, kind of like the culmination or even like when Caesar gets kind of like brought into the like, I don't know, like the animal control center. Like what you guys thought about that whole, like how that played out and kind of that transition there.
Dude, that's like one of the saddest things, like, I think
Yeah.
in the whole series. I mean, I know it's like kind of a pretty dark series if you think of it like overall, like the world like basically ends.
Mhm.
But I was just thinking, like, if you ever put your pet there, which I don't know if any of
Mhm.
us ever did, but like, he, freaks out and then like Caesar actually can talk and stuff, and it shows it from that side. He gets like his ass beat on the first day. Uh, but yeah, I mean, I understand, like, obviously it had to happen, but like, kind of sucks watching like your pet go in there. And I love
No,
Caesar.
it does. And I'm laughing not because of that. Like that sucks. Like I hated that, and it like I definitely felt for the little guy and love. I mean, obviously, well, I don't know if it's obvious, but we're all rooting for the apes, right?
Mhm.
Like
Yeah,
at that point,
pretty
yeah.
much.
But the funniest part for me, and I die. I guess this is only the second time I've seen it, but when James Franco and his girlfriend, which it never says if they got married because there was that 5 year
I
time
was
jump.
I was
Right.
gonna bring that up. I feel like they had to have been, but like they never bring it
Mhm.
up.
Never, yeah, never addressed. But when he's like, he takes him to like, or I think he's just walking him around, but he's got him on the leash and in clothes, which that's kind of bizarre. Like, you don't have to dress him up. But when he had the guy's like walking with his dog, he's like, "Is that a chimpanzee? Is
Yeah.
that a chimpanzee?" I don't know. It just always cracks me up. Um,
That's funny.
but yeah, no, I mean, it sucks because when James Franco like goes back and visits him and then pays the guy, which feel like has to. I don't know how much money it was, but I think he threw down like $500 or something. Is what it looked like. Logan Roy. I mean, that's the guy that
Oh yeah,
in
yeah,
Succession, same actor. But
yeah.
he then he's like, yeah, you can take him, but then Caesar's like, no, like even though he like he knew, this is how I interpret it, based on his talk with the orangutan. He knew like, hey, we gotta stick together and like, make it make all these apes stronger and everything, and that's not gonna happen if you go back to your old like life or whatever. Even though like he still cared for James Franco, he's a monkey. So
Yeah.
it's like he can't live with humans anymore. But like I really like that. And like I said, even though there wasn't a whole lot of like action per se, like the whole lead up where you can see like, his wheels were turning to like start the plan of like getting everyone out, or the monkeys at least. I really did enjoy that, and like the music kind of going along with it. Like I thought that was really good. And then they got the big unit out of the cage.
Mhm.
Oh yeah.
I forget his
Mhm.
name.
Buck.
Buck, yeah,
Yeah.
which is a perfect name.
Oh, it is.
But yeah, no, I still did really enjoy that part, as sad as it was. Like, it was definitely satisfying to see them like take over at the end.
Yeah.
There and like get out of there and everything, and especially with Malfoy getting electrocuted, that was
Dude, you just brought up like three of my
fitting.
favorite scenes. I so
Yeah.
like obviously I know that apes together strong becomes like a huge theme throughout like the whole series because I think they
Hmm.
say it
Mhm.
like all the time in the next two.
Yeah.
But I think that was like my first real demonstration of intelligence from Caesar. Like obviously he could talk and he was like fairly smart and stuff. Or not talk, but sign.
Hmm.
Well,
They
but
can't
anyway, yeah,
talk.
yeah. I was also thinking that happened later too. I forgot it was in the first
Me
one.
Mhm.
too. I did too. I was like, I think he's about to say it here, but
Yeah,
Yeah.
so did I. When it was about to happen, I was like, wait, is it here? But I thought it was
yeah.
later when I was going
Mhm.
into it. But yeah,
Mhm.
like that's a huge sign of intelligence. Like, apes together strong, breaks the stick.
Yeah. I
I
love
love
that. Yeah.
that. Yeah. And of course, this is my boy Maurice.
Yeah.
Um, and then one of my other favorite ones is because like at this point you don't really like Rocket because he was kind of the king or whatever. And
Mhm.
then he breaks him out and it's just them two. And then all of a sudden Buck's just standing with Caesar. I'm like, oh, game time.
Yeah.
Yep. I
That's
And then
basically Draymond bringing in Katie, calling Katie in the parking lot is Caesar getting Buck out of the cage.
uh, and then obviously like don't usually root for human deaths in a movie like this, but like Tom Felton because he was such an asshole. Like,
Yeah, he
yeah.
sucked.
Oh yeah. I mean, it was pretty brutal. But
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
how about the other guy they hired too? I forget his
But they weren't
name.
trying to kill him. Like I don't think. Like
No,
Yeah.
they weren't. Then he got the
yeah,
Brandon
taser, and you're like,
Johnson.
all right,
yeah.
like,
I
uh,
mean,
But like,
Hands
I
were
mean,
tied at that point.
they beat his ass
Mhm.
first too. But
Yeah.
the other guy dude he was pretty nice. He's pretty brutalized by the
Yeah.
humans too. Then he
But
locked
they
him in the
let him
cage.
live. Yeah,
Yeah, they let
Which
him kill.
which I think that was not
That was
hey, now you see what we had to deal with, and like they didn't kill him, like you said.
yeah, that was more
Right.
fitting. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I kind of read something on that and like the IMDb trivia on that, and it was kind of like just like a show. It was supposed to be like a show of like compassion from Caesar, like he, that shows like he is compassionate, like he's logical. Like I think that guy, like that other guy, never really did anything, and like where he had obviously Tom Felton was brutalizing them all the time, and like that guy never did it, and like that's why Caesar let him live, um, which is pretty cool. I mean, I think it shows like the empathy and compassion that they have. But I was gonna say the same thing when you guys talked about one like weird not gripe I have with like James Franco's character is I thought he was really well. I mean, I'm pretty sure James Franco is like super canceled, but
Yeah.
really
sure he is,
good.
too.
He's really good in this movie.
That's one thing I wanted to bring up, but yeah, keep going.
Yeah, so I was gonna say like the one thing is like you guys talked about like the angle of like having a pet. Obviously, him and Caesar are super close, and like James Franco's dad and Caesar, like the girlfriend, they're all super close. And yeah, it's super sad, like having to, he drops Caesar off. Like that sucks. Like now, like having a dog, like I'm like this so sad. But then like he tries to get Caesar out and he doesn't come out. And then like James Franco like literally goes right back to his life. Like I feel like that would like mess you up. Like
Yeah.
and he just went back to like living, and like they kind of forgot about Caesar. Like I don't know,
Yeah.
maybe it's just him moving on, because obviously years did pass. But like same thing kind of when they found out that like, I mean, JD kind of talked about like that whole sequence of like basically Caesar like teaching, like being like becoming the leader. Like he takes like really like calculated moves to like, get Rocket on board, like get Buck on board. Like obviously he's talking with like Maurice, like he's just, he's basically making like really calculated moves on like his final plan. And then he gets the
113 ALZ.
113, yeah.
Dude, I love when he just rolls the fog and or
Yeah.
whatever, the cloud. I love when he just rolls that he's
Genius.
walking through. Yeah.
Right, because like you could like another thing is like he could have like hoarded all that for himself and be like, I'm gonna rule these guys because I'm gonna be smarter and they're gonna be idiots or whatever. But he shares it because, like you said, like together we're strong. Like he wants everybody to be as smart as he is. But that's the other thing. Like James Franco, he realized like all of that was taking place, and like Caesar and all them were breaking out, and like he noticed his like the 113 was gone from his fridge, and I feel like he didn't like react whatsoever. It's like, dude, it's literally all your fault, basically.
So like, two of my gripes with it, you just brought up one was, and it was mainly with Will, and overall I like the character, but they don't ever really talk about like, I mean, I don't know what you guys think. He pretty much created this whole mess, I think.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, but they don't really
He
talk
has
about
like
it.
no guilt, it seems like, on his like.
No,
That's
that's
what I
what I'm
mean. Like, they don't go into that angle of like, holy shit, I did all that whole final battle scene. Like he's just there, like it's either like,
Yeah, he's like, that's my
"Hey,
boy.
you wanna come home.
He's running to the
Even when he
redwoods.
comes home, he had like all of this going on. So
Dude, yeah, he's in the middle of the monkey forest in the redwoods, and
Yeah.
like he's like, Caesar, time to go home, buddy. I'm
Yeah.
like,
Also,
dude,
there's
you are
no
outnumbered.
fucking chance. Like, what do you think's gonna happen if you try to bring that monkey after what happened on that bridge back home?
Oh
Like,
yeah,
they're
they're
not
just
gonna
gonna
let
put
that
down in
fly.
20 seconds.
Yeah,
No.
exactly.
But
They
then yeah,
had a
Tom also
freaking
talked
whole
about.
army ready to kill them all. Like,
right.
I can't remember if they talk about it or not, but the ALZ 113 gets stole from the fridge or whatever. I can't remember if they bring it up or not, but like, wouldn't that not be like, not even just like, hey, where'd it go? It's like a security risk for like a lot of reasons. Like, I mean, this is like high intelligence stuff at like a data lab or a laboratory, science lab, and so it's like it could have been like competitors, it could have been like next door neighbor because that guy's creeping around, but like they don't really talk about how big of like I mean if I took something from my work and we don't even do anything that important and it was stolen, I'd be like, that's a problem.
yeah,
Like literally like a war criminal. That'd be like
yeah,
yeah,
and you stole like some sort of like nuclear.
yeah,
And then it gets stolen by someone else. It's like, no, that's on you, dude. Like you're
yeah,
literally like locked up for life. Like
yeah,
as like the bare minimum.
yeah.
yeah.
again, I mean, it doesn't really mention it, but yeah, Will just kind of like, oh well.
Yeah, I would have liked at some point for him to like take blame a little bit, or
Right.
because like even they're like, you don't know what you're doing. You're testing way too much. I'm like, dude, you put this on your dad. Like,
Yeah.
because one chimp did well. You're like, yep, dad's game time.
Right.
Like, I
Right.
mean, so they don't really talk about how reckless that was, but they're testing Koba like 3 times a week or whatever, and they're like, dude,
Yeah.
you don't know what you're doing. I'm like,
Yeah.
you didn't either.
Yeah, that's
Like, you
actually
started the whole thing.
yeah. And Will's like a pretty likable character, I think,
I
but
think so too.
like that whole angle, I was thinking of that too. Like the negligence on his end, like you said, like super reckless. Like his girlfriend knows he's super reckless. Like even when the
Yeah.
beginning stages of them meeting,
Hmm.
he tells her, and she obviously is like an expert too.
Hmm.
She's just like, okay, like she just goes with it, like dates him. Like it's
Yeah.
kind of a red flag. Like I honestly thought she was gonna like turn him in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If anybody turned him in, I mean, like we talked about, he should have been like locked up for life, basically.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, I don't
Take
know how the whole like medical approval board for like drugs go, but I'm pretty sure you can't just be like, "Hey, Dad, you want to take this drug I built?"
oh
And
yeah,
it's
Yeah.
not even close to approved
not
for
a
human
quick
testing. Yeah.
ride. Oh yeah, that's I can't imagine that's taken
The
lightly.
day we were gonna test it, chimp went nuts and broke everything in the
Right.
lab.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously it wasn't because of drug, because it was
Well, yeah,
kids and
which they
everything.
didn't
But
know though, but yeah.
yeah, but still, he didn't
Uh,
mention any of that, and you just started putting
No.
it in his dad.
I
Mhm.
also like that angle too. And like you said, I mean, to go back to just like if you look at this movie without seeing it or anything and you just think, oh, like that's gotta be stupid. But I love how they did make it, like you guys said, super believable,
Yeah.
with those like multiple angles of like, it's a drug doing it, and the reason that they were so passionate, or Will at least, it was because he's trying to save his dad in the process too.
Mhm.
Um, I just thought that was awesome. And like how it passed through the bloodstream from Caesar's mom to him.
Yeah, bright
Mhm.
eyes.
That was awesome. One sidebar really quick on James Franco, like this is strictly just about his acting career, and that's it,
Mhm.
nothing off screen. But I feel like, I mean, of the movies I've seen him in, I mean, I think everyone kind of just thinks that he's like, that, Pineapple Express guy that, isn't that good of an actor. But I think he actually is pretty solid of an actor.
Mhm.
Like in
I think he
this,
is.
barely in like kind of Ballad of Buster Scruggs, but even in that, like he was pretty good.
First time.
So yeah, I watching this, I was like, that was another takeaway. I was like, he can actually like act pretty well. And he's not just like, has to be like the comedic relief.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Um,
he kind of does a lot. I mean, I know he is in a good amount of comedies, but like, I mean, he was in what was it, Disaster Artist?
Yeah.
That
oh
was
yeah.
decent. I mean, he's in
Spider-Man.
Why Him with Bryan Cranston.
Yeah, I like that movie.
Yeah, same. And then like, he plays a scientist in this, or like Battle of Buster Scruggs. He still kind of is comedic relief, but I wouldn't say he's like a very funny. I mean, like he kind of is, just that one line really first
Yeah.
time, but
Yeah. Harry Osborn too.
yeah, Harry
Yeah, I
Osborn.
would say Harry
Yeah,
Osborn
I kind
and
of forgot about that.
Yeah. Which, yeah, I don't know. Some of that dialogue is a little cheesy, but I don't think that's his fault. Like I think, like, guess what, and what you just like kind of proved there, like he has that range where he's not always like just has to be the funny pothead guy.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Because I don't know if Pineapple Express was like one of his first big breaks or not, but I feel like that was one of the first movies I remember seeing him in.
That's how I view it as well.
I'd say
Yeah,
Spider-Man and then Pineapple Express like shot him up.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
Like because Spider-Man, he was still kind of, I mean, I would say a supporting character. Like Harry Osborn was not
yeah,
like obviously Willem Dafoe was like the much
yeah,
bigger
Name.
part of that, and
Yeah.
like bigger role in the like Spider-Man's, and like Harry
yeah,
was really not a. I mean, he was kind of a big role, I guess, in like the third one, but
yeah.
Yeah, which I
he
think is
was
part
kind
of
of
the problem.
supporting, which I think was like a big role.
But yeah,
Honestly,
when I think about those Spider-Mans, I think Tobey Maguire, I think Willem Dafoe, and I think Doc Ock.
Yeah.
And Mary
Kirsten
Jane.
Dunst.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of her. I try not to think about it.
And while I do think yeah, same. While I do
Hey,
think,
we didn't talk about Freaks and Geeks. That was probably his
oh
big.
yeah, and he
See,
was great in it.
I never watched
Oh,
that. I really
dude, that
should.
is.
Oh yeah.
We
Well,
talked about
it's
cult classics a couple. That is,
that
I
is for sure.
the
Yeah.
literal perfect example of a cult classic.
It just sucks though, because
It's
like you'll
Is it,
watch it, JD, and then you'll love it, but then realize it never got finished. So
I
it's
was gonna
like
say, is
kind of
it two
no
sucks.
one.
seasons? I know it
It's
got cut
one.
early. One
It's
It's just
season.
one.
one.
But
It's like
look,
18 episodes or something.
It's like the first break for Franco, Seth Rogen, Jason Segel.
I
It's
know the
Linda
cast is
Cardellini.
amazing.
loaded.
Yeah, Linda
Marcus
Cardellini.
Stars in it. Yeah, it's wild. It's really good. It was on Netflix back in the day. I don't know if it still is.
I don't know if I knew it was too, and I never watched it on there. And I always
Yeah, I don't know
said
if
I
it,
was going to, and just never did.
Really good.
but
8.0
yeah, while he has had, I think, good roles. I mean, he also did Spring Breaker, so I can see why people like hate it because that's like one of the worst movies I've ever seen. But
I still hate him, to be honest.
I'm not gonna lie. When
yeah,
Spring
that's fair
Breakers
too.
came out, I did not think that was a real movie. I thought it was like a joke.
Yeah,
And then I was like,
unfortunately,
oh,
it was.
they're actually making this
I
movie.
mean, I
I don't,
guess it was a joke too, but
I never
same to
saw
say,
that.
I watched it. It was terrible.
oh, so bad.
It's so bad.
But yeah, anyway, back to the Apes. Yeah, I think I mean, what do you guys feel on, I guess, how it wrapped up? So another thing I didn't love is kind of I don't know if you would even would you say this is like action first of a movie genre wise? At least it's like one or two.
Maybe just
Yeah.
because of the last scene, like
It just
big
like yeah,
as it is.
and the
Uh,
overall like theme of
yeah.
it, I guess. But like one thing that and this happens in a lot of similar movies in that genre is like the bad guy, which I mean it's not a huge fault in this because I think there's more. I mean, I think not like all humans are bad or whatever, but just like the captivity itself was kind of like the bad guy in this, but also the guy that was leading the corporation or whatever, who just wanted like the money or whatever. Didn't love how,
Jacobs.
yeah, Jacobs didn't love how that kind of just like it's like that. I don't know if you call it a trope or whatever, but then like that's like they only care about the money or whatever, and then they're like, no, let's just do it or whatever. I feel like that was not super like compelling, I guess. But at least he like, fell off the bridge, so that was kind of nice. But he wasn't like a super great bad guy.
No, I was gonna say that too, kind of how I brought up earlier that I think Will's really the biggest problem with like how everything went down.
Yeah.
But that guy, like, I mean, generally only cares about money and stuff. But like, I just didn't like how he shut that 112 down right now or whatever. And then like, it was clearly working. Like they had like, they were doing the one test with the whatever, and they did it in 20 moves.
Yeah.
Like
Perfect. Yeah.
it was like clearly working. And then he's like, shut it down. He's like, hey, I did it on my dad, and he like improved. And he's like,
And then he's
but
like, let's go. Yeah.
yeah, and he's like, bring it back. I'm like, well, like
Yeah.
things were things were going well with it earlier. Like also, I don't know if you guys caught this too, but he's like, you never come to the office, and when you do, you don't talk to anyone. And I'm like, so how does he still have a job? Like, what do you
Yeah.
think he's currently working on?
Right.
That's what we do, like from the time that he lost Caesar, it was like 5 years had gone by. Like, what
Yeah.
project could he have been doing?
That's what I always like.
That too, like he basically didn't work anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like, it's like
So,
you used
like,
to be the
still
star of this
good.
lab, and now you never do anything. And I'm like, so
Right.
like, why is he part of the team
I'm
still?
sure he was just trying to improve like whatever he was giving his dad, and that was it. So it's like,
I agree, but
yeah.
like, I'm sure you have like quarterly,
Oh no,
reports, like
exactly. But like,
performance reviews. Like, what are you even talking about with this
yeah, I
guy?
was just saying that to like back up your point. Like, how does he still have a job? And then obviously he
Yeah.
quit, but like, dude, like, why are you just letting him hang around? But that's the thing. Like, he does flip the switch just like that, Jacobs, like you said, JD, where it's like end it, and then there's some success, and they're like, all right, let's just go.
Even when he greenlit it the second time, he was like switched his mind like 3 times. Like, dude, why am I talking to you? He's like, oh,
Yeah.
bring it back. He's like, oh,
Yeah.
don't mess with me. He's like, okay.
Yeah.
And you know what? Bring it back. Like,
I just wish either they didn't have that whole angle in there or like change it a little bit, made it better. That was the one thing I think that could have improved.
I agree. Well,
That kept it
and
from like special territory.
yeah, I agree. And you also brought up that, and I know I've said a lot of things about Will being at fault, but he also like kind of quits, like kind of showing like, my blood or the blood's on my hands because I'm quitting. Like, this isn't me. But like, it's still your problem. Like, you did all of it for the
Yeah,
most
you
part.
started it. Yeah.
Like, Jacobs is a douche, but like, you're the actual root cause.
Right. And like Will was kind of, he was kind of, to blame like many like steps along the process.
Yeah.
Obviously he did like the first installment of it, but then like obviously raising Caesar and obviously like everything he did leading up to that, like it definitely was at fault, like for the 113 getting out, like with him
Yeah.
teasing Caesar as well as he did. Like again, a lot of the ways. And I agree with the Jacobs thing. Like, I do think it's believable that like a CEO would literally only care about money of like a huge
Yeah.
Definitely.
company.
That yeah,
And
for
like,
sure.
approval by the board and everything. Cause I mean, like, if you think about it, that is his job.
Right. Like he doesn't give a shit about science, I'm sure. All he cares
No.
about is money, which that's what I agree with what you're saying there, Ryan. I completely understand and agree with what you're saying. We're like, that doesn't make him a good character. Like I think he's
Yeah, exactly.
like, it's a believable character. It's just like weak. Like it's
Super
not
one-dimensional.
not exciting. It's
No.
not super one-dimensional. So I do agree with that. I think you mentioned something too about it being action, and I know we talked about action, I think, on here a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, with Tom Cruise, I think.
Tom Cruise, yeah.
Edge of Tomorrow.
Right, and how they can go really bad, or like they can just make
Get
it
corny.
you can get corny and like cheesy in a hurry. I think this one though was like perfect. Like the action was actually like, holy shit, this is exciting.
Yeah.
I think the action was really good. I think like that final scene on the bridge was obviously there's a lot of action. I thought the action was really good. There was no like crazy like, okay, that's really stupid like explosion type stuff. There were explosions, but I think like the whole we talked about, like you kind of see the evolution like of the apes getting smarter, and I think that
when they go under.
yeah, I think the bridge
Yeah,
scene was like the
that's sick.
perfect like
Yeah.
it was kind of showing that like, all right, the apes are smarter than the humans at this point. Like
And they're together now.
yeah, and they're together.
Working
Like,
together.
humans were like, oh, we'll just block them off at like this part of the bridge, and then they had a few people go over, they had a few people go under, and like basically um ambush the humans and like
It's
eliminate
also the first time we see Caesar on a horse.
yeah, that part is sick.
I don't know if you guys thought about this at
Yeah, it
all.
was
So
awesome.
like, obviously James Franco and the girlfriend, I forget her name or wife, whatever she is, they make it to the redwood at the end. But I mean, obviously I know they kind of got slaughtered on the humans did on the bridge, but like, would they still not be going after them? Like, you know what I mean? Like they got it's like, are we supposed to just believe like, oh, they made it to the redwood, we just let them go? Like,
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't know, because I forget kind of how the second one starts, but I'm pretty sure there's a time jump,
there
if I
is,
remember correctly.
yeah, there
Yeah.
is, and it's like the
Yeah,
world pretty much already shut down.
right. Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I agree. Maybe they were just because they did kind of get like fucked up too, the
Oh
humans.
yeah.
So
Oh,
maybe
they
they
got
were just kind of like
ravaged.
regrouping and then wouldn't go right after. But I also didn't James Franco just run there the entire time, or no, he took a
Yeah.
car, right? Did
Well, I
he?
think he
Didn't
was
he
in a
take a
car
cop
for
car or
like
something?
to
Oh
the
yeah,
redwood.
top
Yeah, he got
Yeah.
one off the
Okay,
bridge. Yeah,
That's
but
right. Yeah.
before that, it was like a big mixture. He's like running, then he's riding.
Yeah. For some reason, I thought he ran the whole way there, and I was like, okay, that now that I think about it, that was messed up. But no, I do
Yeah.
think he took the car at least half the way or majority of the way. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I agree. I think there probably would be more urgency to like stop them than just
Yeah.
like letting them go in the canopies and whatnot. But
Mhm.
yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think that was good. Like, I was fine because the action was so good there. I was fine with like there not being a whole lot throughout the whole movie.
Hmm.
That goes really for any movie for me. Like, I think we all kind of talked about that before. Like the kind of like the slow burns, as long as the payoff is good, like we
Yeah.
love that.
Mhm.
But the I mean, it did the just Jacobs took that away from it for me just a little bit because like I just didn't like how I didn't like his character.
Uh,
I think that could have been better fleshed out, like I said, or just like done away with in a way. Like a believable character, like you said, Tom, but just
Mhm.
didn't love it.
Right.
Because the villain in the second one is like I just love that whole arc a lot more.
yeah.
So yeah.
I was gonna ask you guys what you thought of we kind of talked about it already, but like the final scene with James Franco, like when he gets the redwoods, it kind of has like that final exchange with Caesar.
I'm glad they did that because when I was watching this again, I thought the first time I watched it that they didn't speak again for some
Mhm.
reason. But I'm glad they closed that loop.
Mhm.
I would have been upset otherwise. Not because like I loved Wills as a character or anything, but just because like he's just shutting that chapter on his life. So I think that was good that they had that talk actually because he spoke. But
Mhm.
yeah, I thought I liked that at least. I think that was a good way to end it.
No, I did too. Just from like even like the sappy side of it, where it's like they were so close.
Yeah, still raised him. I mean,
Yeah, and I like, yeah, exactly. I like the way it closed, where like there was no like bad blood, but it wasn't like unbelievable of like, yeah, I'll go home and live in like your attic, right?
yeah,
Like they did have like that kind of talk where it's like, no, I'm home here, and Will's like, all right, yeah, like that makes sense. I'm good with that.
yeah.
So
You're a monkey.
yeah,
So
I was worried it was gonna be the opposite, Caesar, decapitating him and rip his head off real quick. I'm glad that didn't happen either. Like it was because obviously Caesar didn't go back with him at the one point when Will tried to get him to go back. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm glad there was like the close on that where it was understanding of, we're good, we had good times, and but these are who I'm supposed to, these are people the apes I'm supposed to be with.
Yeah.
Uh,
I do wish we had like one scene after that where we saw like Will facing like some reprimands, but I'm not a big fan of it. You just
Basically,
gotta
seeing him wear ballad scruggs.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I do like, I mean, I think it's in the credits actually where they show the pilot and he sneezes blood and just gets on the plane.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
that was
Yeah.
another one of my gripes with Franklin is,
Yeah.
like he gets sick or whatever, and instead of thinking like anything, he's like just trying to find Will. And somehow Will's not home or doesn't answer his
Mhm.
calls or whatever. And then like he just, I mean, unfortunately just passes away in his room. And I'm like, you didn't one time like go to a hospital or like
Yeah,
anywhere? Like you
that's
just
true.
like ran around like on the street.
I forgot about him actually in that whole thing, but I did like how that was prevalent, but it didn't like take over the movie at the end.
Agreed.
And that's because now that reminds me that's why like they're all gone, or
Yeah,
for the most
and
part at the second one.
yeah, and then they show the pilot. They show like I don't know if they
Yeah,
actually show him flying. They show him in the airport, but then they just show like one flight. It's like LA or San Fran to New York, and then it's like New
yeah,
York to
and
like the
that's how it
UK,
spreads.
then it's like
Yeah,
UK to like other places in Europe, and
Yep.
you're
I do
sitting
like
a
that
lot
a
shorter.
lot actually.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
I
was
agree.
really subtle. Like if you weren't paying
Yeah,
attention, you would have no idea.
right.
Also with the believable timeline, not to get like too much into history, but I'm pretty sure that's how AIDS spread primarily. Pretty sure like a pilot got it and would go to like steam houses across the country when he like landed,
I
and I'm
think
pretty
that
sure that's
was
how.
in that in the band played on movie or whatever.
Yeah, I think so too.
Watching in Zimmerman's class, which we also watch a lot of Steven Seagal movies in
I was gonna
Zimmerman's
say
class. So
that's
I was
how.
like, JD, I think you had to have
Yeah,
seen
I
one.
slept
that's
during a lot of those.
how I
Besides,
know Steven
Aaron
Seagal.
Brockovich, I remember that. That was a
Oh,
good
that
movie.
was a great one. Yeah,
Aaron Brockovich was great.
yeah,
But yeah, I slept a lot of those Steven Seagal movies because they were
Mhm.
trash.
yeah. They are. The one thing, I mean, I guess we talked about him talking, but I don't know if it was my favorite scene necessarily, but I got chills when he said no.
Oh
When
yeah,
Caesar said no, like that was awesome.
super
Like
Yeah.
cool
that
scene.
was sick. He just like,
Mhm.
I'm the man. Well,
Yeah,
ape,
Mhm.
but
yeah, it
Mhm.
kind of
yeah,
like
sweet.
forces out. It's like a build up, and then it's just no.
Yeah,
Like damn, Caesar, let him have
yeah.
it.
Also like the
Love
shock
that.
value of like, holy shit. Like
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
you kind of won your battle just by saying that because the other person's gonna be so terrified. Like
In the 70s one, Planet of the Apes, like when they come back to Earth, I think was the big thing. Did they I never saw it. Did they talk in that?
I didn't either, but I'm pretty sure they do, and they walk exactly like humans do too. I'm pretty sure. I'm not 100%
Okay.
sure,
pretty
but
sure
that's what I
too.
remember. So
But
if I'm wrong,
isn't that originally the big twist though? It's like they went back to Earth and that was like actually where they're from or whatever.
that's what
I mean,
I thought, but I'm not 100%
I
sure. I
haven't
haven't
seen
seen it,
it.
but that's what I gather from it, and that's where I get like, if people only saw that and they didn't want to watch this because like, yeah, that was like stupid and unbelievable. Don't blame you,
Yeah.
but give this a shot because it's
Yeah.
not like that.
I think yeah, pretty much everything that happened was like extremely believable. CEO only cares about money, develops a drug, processes it too fast. The scientist does it too to save his dad, and then like obviously it spreads and it's super dangerous. Like I think overall it's a really believable concept.
Yeah. Yeah, I liked how they. I guess this would be a reboot of it, since it doesn't follow those. So, as far as reboots go, I think it is great how they changed it
Mhm.
from like the source material or whatever. But also in terms of just a trilogy overall, I will say, I mean, we don't have to go here yet, but um, in terms of just like this trilogy, I think, and I don't know every trilogy, but I'm thinking, and like this is a solid trilogy overall. I would
Well, it's
say,
slept on.
Very
yeah,
underrated, like you said, JD.
it goes in
Yeah.
the same order as my favorite Star Wars from the original trilogy.
Yeah.
2 I like the best, then 1, then 3. But I mean, if you like average all those scores together, I mean, it's definitely up there for sure.
Yeah. I mean, you got like Star Wars, all the trilogies. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm just thinking of trilogies in general. Then you
Lord
got
of the
like Dark Knight,
Rings.
Lord of the Rings. I would say those are like kind of the big ones. Even though Dark
Yeah.
Knight, like I think most people know it's a trilogy, but like I would say only like half the people that I saw the other two saw Batman Begins.
Yeah.
Like, which is whatever.
Yeah.
But I would say as a trilogy, it's definitely slept on because it's definitely a weirder concept. I mean, I don't know if you count all the Marvel movies because there's some trilogy. I guess Guardians of the Galaxy 3 is coming out, but like I wouldn't count like Iron Man as a trilogy, even though it kind of is. But like, I mean,
Yeah.
Iron Man, he's in so many other Marvel movies. It's like hard to say that's a trilogy.
I think you can call it that, but like you said, yeah, I don't know if it's technically by all rules is.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean, I think this is solid, and it's a shame because, like you said, it's kind of slept on as far as from my point of view. Because like I don't know, I think they did very well in the box office and everything, but I
Yeah.
I don't know how many like people I know have actually seen this trilogy, and I think
Yeah.
they should. I think more
I
people
would
should.
say actually, I think we should all do this at work this week. Just ask some random coworkers, have you seen them all?
Okay,
I'm gonna do it.
we'll
I
report
think
back.
you'll get a lot of no's.
I'm gonna ask my team. It's only like 8 people, but we'll see what they
Yeah.
say.
Yeah, I'll do the same. I think, like you guys said, like I think they were a pretty big deal when they came out. I think they did pretty well at the box office, but like what we're like 10 years removed now, like they
Mhm.
aren't really in like you just never hear people talk about it. Like when I picked
Uh,
this movie, I was like, I kind of forgot about these, to be honest. And I really like them. I know we all really like them. So it's like to the average like movie fan, most people are probably in the same boat. Like they just kind of
yeah.
forgot these existed. Like but they are good. So yeah, I think they're
Hey, the next one comes
super
out in
under
3
the radar.
years.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Put them back on the radar.
Oh yeah. I'm down to see it.
I think it is at least Planet of the Apes.
Mm-hmm.
yeah. I mean, I'm definitely gonna see it.
Yeah.
Interested to see what happens with it.
Oh, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it comes out next May actually, May
Oh,
2024. Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes.
is it? So is it a continuation or?
Yeah, I think it's Caesar's son. I forget his name.
Oh, okay.
Um,
That's cool.
but yeah, I'm pretty sure it's I think it's. I mean, I think it's all new actors and actresses and stuff, and like I think maybe some of the same apes stay in, but
Hmm.
I was looking at the cast. I know right after our call last week, but I forgot about it kind of.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, I don't know how they're gonna take that because, like, I thought I have a lot more problems with the third one than I do this one in terms of things I don't like about it. But I did like how it wrapped up. So
The third one was also a little slow, I think, right?
a little, and like I don't know, like I think Woody Harrelson's great, but I did not like his character at
So
all
I was
in that
literally
one.
just thinking that, like, I actually really like Woody Harrelson. And, to be fair, he's been in a lot of things, so it's easy to say I like him. But like, there's been like some that come to my mind. Well, like the new Venom, Let There Be Carnage. I don't know if you saw that.
I have not.
Terrible movie, and he's like weird in that. Then there's this one. What is that? War for the Planet of the Apes. I think so.
That's the
And
third. Yeah,
yeah, and like he's weird in that too, kind of. That movie's just. I mean, I like that movie a lot, but his character was.
yeah,
yeah.
white. Yeah, I don't know.
And they're rebooting his White Man Can't Jump or whatever.
Yeah, which
Yeah.
that'd be a good one for us to talk about at some point because I
Yeah.
watched that for the first time either earlier this year or last year and
I watched it for the first time last year.
got some thoughts on it, but um,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know.
Not to get too into that movie. I think that movie's just a little too long.
It is, yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah.
But yeah, overall, I mean, I think we all are pretty much on the same part. Like, there's a few things
Yeah.
that could have done better with Planet of the Apes, but like overall, I really like the movie. I mean, we gave it an 82.3
Yeah.
as a whole.
Very solid. Yeah,
Yeah,
I think
where does that bring it with our other movies, Tom?
yep. We got it at 223 on the list. So really solid. It's right behind The Imitation Game, which is one of the first movies we ever watched together, and right in front of The Blind Side. So
Okay.
I'd say that's pretty good company, honestly. Those are
I
two good
don't like
movies.
I'm not a big fan of The Blind Side.
Yeah,
I
Tom
get
is the
it.
highest on that one, but yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, solid.
yeah,
Mhm.
it's all.
Mhm. Yeah, so pretty good score there. So I think that'll wrap it up for this week. I know JD, you're taking us into next week. We teed it up a little bit in the intro, but you want to let us know what we got next week, next week's assignment.
Yeah, we talked about an intro a little bit. It's a Wes Anderson movie. Because we were talking about, I already forget what the city,
Asteroid City.
Asteroid City, coming out. Is that this year or next year?
I think
The
it's this at the end of this year.
End of this year. Yeah.
summer
So,
fall, I think.
and I think we're all probably on the same page. Like we know who Wes Anderson is, know he has his own style, but haven't seen a lot of his movies. I think I actually saw this movie when it came out back in 2014, but I kind of forget what even happens. The Grand Budapest Hotel. Little synopsis by IMDb. A writer encounters the owner of an aging high school hotel who tells him of early years serving as a lobby boy in the hotel's glorious years under an exceptional concierge.
I'm pretty
So,
sure it's got really good ratings too.
yeah, 8.1 on IMDb,
Yeah.
Metascore 88, which I always look at both of those, but honestly, I don't really care about either of them. But yeah, I mean, I'm excited.
Yeah, I've always heard this was really good. I've just never seen it. I've meant to watch it many times, I feel like, but never got around to it. So yeah, I'm pretty excited.
Yeah. Hell of a cast, and it also keeps. I mean, Tom Felton was the last one. We're just keeping Harry Potter guys rolling. Ralph Fiennes, Voldemort.
Yeah.
William Dafoe, who we've given plenty of shout outs on the show. I feel like he's
Oh,
also
yeah.
in it.
Yeah, and I don't think we've ever actually watched something with him.
Yeah, that's the weird part. But I
Yeah.
feel like we've talked
He
about him
comes
like a
up a
decent
lot.
amount.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
know. Yeah. So yeah, good to see him in action then.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm excited for that. Yeah, other than that, any updates as far as what you guys are watching now or anything you have on the itinerary for theaters?
Well, so for theaters, I saw Super Mario today actually.
Good.
Which
You like it?
I did like it. I mean, it's a kids movie, so like gotta go in with like knowing that. But I liked it. Brought a lot of nostalgia back. With a bunch of different games they had. And the character like Charlie Day plays Luigi, and like you can hear his voice the whole time. It's kind of fun. Like, cause like I mean I know the other actors are too, but like you still don't really hear it as much. But like Charlie Day as Luigi's like kind of perfect.
Yeah.
But yeah,
cool.
and then I'm planning on seeing John Wick this week, and also Guardians of the Galaxy 3.
Yeah.
So that's my movie going experience. Got a lot racked. Oh, ever since we saw Air, I just remembered I love going to the movies. So,
I know. It's so fun.
but
Yeah,
I am,
Guardians is probably the next one I'll see in theaters at least.
but I am ashamed to admit of something I am starting to watch, and I decided I'm going to watch them all. Fast and Furious.
Oh my
I-
God, dude.
So I got through the easy part. I got through 1 and 2. Those are like good movies. They're just straight up good movies,
Don't
in my
yeah.
opinion.
I'm a
Yeah.
hater of the franchise, but I don't hate those two movies.
And I honestly, what made me decide to watch it is I saw the preview for F10 or whatever the new one coming out, and he's like driving on the Hoover Dam, like off a plane or something. I was just like, dude,
Pulling
these
like
are
two
so
helicopters together.
Yeah.
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 I'm like, dude, these are so ridiculous. But I'm like, I think I just have to watch them. Like, I don't know what it is. I'm buying into the corporate bullshit or something, but I'm gonna
You might
watch
have
them.
to do a solo episode after and just
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rank them all.
I didn't even know John Cena was in it. And then like Jason
I think
Momoa was in
we're-
it now. Like
Yeah.
I just don't get it. And like they went so far from just like driving cars. Now they're like bouncing like grenades under cars on a
Well,
motorcycle.
yeah, now they're like saving the world. I think they go to space in either
Pretty sure
this
they got-
new one or in the
I-
last one.
I think they do too. And
Like,
they're like
I'm
and I
pretty
know
sure they
there's
were
one
selling
scene-
like illegal DVDs or something in the first 1 and 2. And that
Yeah,
one's
it's like they're like
It was like
stealing. They were like
2002.
now
yeah,
they're
they're like stealing
superheroes.
trucks, like just like ripping off stereos and selling it.
Yeah.
That's like what they were doing, and now it's
Now
I
they're
don't get.
driving a car into a moving plane somehow.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
forget which one it is. I think there's one where they drop like 5 cars out of the sky and they have like parachutes on it. I'm like, I don't even think that'd be possible. Like,
Yeah.
the cars weigh like 10 grand.
Gotta give it up. It's absurd, and we all are talking about it.
That's
Like,
true.
Yeah.
No, I mean
Dude,
it looks
Yeah,
good. And no, not like it doesn't look like a
Can't
good
take
movie,
that
but
back.
the special effects look good.
yeah,
if that
I
makes
agree.
sense.
I know
Like,
exactly what you're saying. Like like the way they do it,
it's
like
good action scenes, but in terms of just like plot and overall movie and like art form, like I hate you that
I
whoever
know,
invented that, or they really just took it over from Tokyo Drift on.
And you know what else? People give. I brought this up earlier too. People give a lot of people shit for joining Marvel. What about the people that just joined Fast 10, like Jason Momoa, Jason Statham, John Cena, The Rock, like all these people? I mean, not that they're like in the early stages of their career necessarily, but like they're just
think
joining.
they're dead to me.
Yeah,
Brie Larson joined it, which also is in Marvel.
Yeah.
She joined it like I don't know, like 2 ones ago or something like
yeah. I
that.
didn't
But
even know that because
Momoa, I like
6.
a lot, even though I haven't really seen him in a lot. Like I just think of him from Game of Thrones, and I know
Yeah,
he's
Khal
Aquaman.
Hey, I
taking
will
over for
say
Vinny Chase, but like,
the Aquamans are kind of weird, but like I like him. Maybe it's because I just like Jason Momoa. I saw him, but I'm not a big
Mhm.
DC guy either.
No. No,
well, you
no.
loved Black Adam.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's so good.
Oh God, yeah, I haven't even seen that one.
Yeah. Oh, he's Duncan Idaho and Dune.
Oh
Mm.
yeah.
Yeah.
I liked him in doing it a lot actually.
I liked him in Dune too.
Yeah, that's a good Fast and Furious
Yeah.
little rabbit hole there.
Yeah, but yeah, so shame to say. I'll give a review after. I'll do all 10.
Okay.
Maybe I'll have a little segment on one of these shows. But
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
I saw the trailer and I was like, these are so ridiculous. I think I have to watch them now. Because I
Okay.
also shit on
That's
them a
fair.
lot for not even seeing like the last 3 or 4.
Yeah. That's
So
fair.
it's if I'm gonna talk shit, I might as well at least do my homework.
That's fair. Yeah, I respect that.
But if I
Yeah.
come out liking them, I swear you just like hit me in the head with a
Yeah.
baseball bat.
All right, deal.
That's fair. Yeah, honestly, you guys mentioned a lot. I mean, I want to see a lot of these movies coming out because they look really good. But one I want to see the most is Covenant. It's
Oh, Jake Gyllenhaal.
Oh yeah.
Jake Gyllenhaal. It looks awesome, and it got
Is it
really
next month?
No, it's out actually.
Oh, it's already out.
I think it came out maybe last weekend or the week before, but it's got really good reviews so far.
Yeah.
It's got a solid 8.0 right now.
Oh wow.
I was just looking at the Metascore 63, which I never understand. I think that's the critics or whatever.
It is, yeah. And
Yeah.
IMDb is just users
Yeah.
Yeah.
or
Sometimes,
audience, whatever.
and like when the critic score and like the rating are wildly different, usually I feel like that's a good movie. I don't know why. Like
I think
critics,
so.
maybe enjoyable movies a better way because I don't.
Yeah, it's gonna be a good, like a
Maybe
fun.
Yeah.
maybe they get more into like the plot and stuff. Like, oh, that's such a plot hole or whatever. But like the people watching, are like, dude, I really enjoyed watching that movie.
Agreed.
Yeah.
So that like whenever the user rating's high, I feel like it's a good movie.
Yeah. No, I typically look at the user rating. I feel like it's a pretty good testament of how much I'll enjoy it or just
Yeah.
how good of a movie it is in general.
Yeah.
But I don't agree with every rating on there.
Yeah.
But,
Obviously. Yeah.
but yeah, that's what we got as far as the movies go. Shows, I'm almost done with Mindy Project. So that's
Oh yeah.
my only update there.
Godspeed.
Yeah, we're getting there. We're close.
Yeah, I'm just watching Succession. Succession is the only show I'm watching just every Sunday. So, and Dave actually, which is
yeah.
That's actually climbing, and I think that's in my top 10 favorite show of all time. Actually,
Wow.
it's so good.
I need to start watching Dave.
I'm
like 5 episodes into Succession. Got a slow burn going with that, but I feel like I have to be locked in to watch it because I feel like it's actually pretty good. And like after work or like after stuff, sometimes I'm just like I just want to put a movie on. So I think that's part of the reason I chose Fast Furious. Just
Yeah, it's an easy turn your brain off.
don't
movie.
have to think a lot to watch those.
No.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty accurate. Yeah, well, I think how about you guys that wrap it up for this week? We on to Grand Budapest Hotel for next week.
Grand Budapest in 1988 Billboard.
Yep.
Yes. So
Yeah, definitely follow along with us. Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, excited for that, and yeah, like I said, follow along, and we'll catch you guys next week.
All right.
All right.
Sounds good.
See you
See you
guys.
guys later.